I always talked about those people who cry on camera. So I'm really trying to get myself together, y'all. But these are like, right now, these are happy tears. Because I never actually talked to you guys about what's happening with Amias. Um, okay. So before I even get into it, it's just those small milestones. It's those small milestones that's like so beautiful to me, you know. We had his speech therapy appointment, and it'd be difficult, you know. It's difficult trying to get him into the process of being here and wanting to participate and learn. And he was new. He just started maybe about a month ago, just turned a month ago. He just started speech therapy, maybe, and he just only, you know, he only knows us. So when he would come here, he would really give his speech therapist a hard time, you know. He would be crying, and he just would be really upset, you know. And I was worried, like, okay, is he gonna warm up, or how's this gonna work, or whatever. And you know, they tell me, the therapist and everything, they give you information, and they let me know that it could take a while for him to adjust, to get used to it. And just seeing that moment happen, you know, just seeing it in real time, this is a beautiful thing. Y'all, he walked in today. I recorded him walking in today. He was not fussing. He was not fighting. He got on the elevator. He was not fussing. He was not fighting. And I don't even know if y'all noticed, but he kind of was walking towards the elevator first. Like, he already knew that this is where we was going. So he gets it, you know, and he memorized, you know, he knows where we are because he's leading the way, you know, in a way. And that's why sometimes I'll step back to see where he would go or whatever. So not only did he lead the way, y'all, every time we get to the actual door for the therapy, he usually starts falling out, crying and everything. He did not do that today, y'all. He did not do that today. He walked in that office quiet as a mouse. He sat with me in the waiting area. He tried to run into the room that he usually go into, but you know, I stopped him because there was other people in there. But y'all, just beautiful, just beautiful. His teacher came out. I mean, his therapist came out, and he got right up. He handed me his cup. He was running in front of her. She was like, "Oh, okay, you ready today?" He went into the room, y'all. She closed the door. He whined for like 2 seconds. And then it got silent. And then I had to step out. So I stepped out here in the lobby. Um, because it's just those milestones, man. Just tears of joy. Yes, a pure joy, y'all. Like, that is my boy. That is my boy. That is my, when I call him my, it's my boo. He's like my little baby boo. Of course, I don't think of it in the term that everybody uses for their man or whatever. He's just, that is just my little baby, y'all. Man, so proud of him today. So proud of him today, just because of the change in his attitude. The change in his attitude, just how he approached speech therapy today, y'all. My boy gonna be all right, okay? Period. So anyway, now that I'm in better spirits, because I'm also in the lobby, so I'll try to pause it when I can, because I don't want people like passing through. But it's been like a long road to this point. Um, of course, I first noticed that Amias wasn't talking yet. Um, I noticed that he wasn't talking yet, and it worried me, you know, doing those little things. And the weird thing is, when Amias was about 9 months, he started doing amazing things. 9 months, he was walking. He was making all kinds of babbling noises, like he was getting ready to talk. He was like waving, you know, saying bye and hi and stuff. And just, I don't know, by the time he turned, like, he started walking and everything, and then he just basically stopped. All the progress kind of stopped. Of course, initially you blame the pandemic, because the pandemic had just hit. I had went back to work. I'm trying to remember the timeline. He wasn't in school. He was home with my mom. He wasn't with my mom. He was with me or his dad. So he just didn't. He been in the house. Y'all know how it was when the pandemic first hit. We was in the house. It was shutdowns. It was riots. So Amaya spent a lot of his time inside of the house. Okay, where I would try to do what I can for him at home as far as educational wise. Um, yeah. But fast forward to him turning one. Um, and all. Yeah. So fast. I'm sorry. I thought somebody was coming. So fast forward to him turning one, and basically he I don't know how much time I got. I should time myself. Basically he so this clearly isn't the best place, but honestly when I feel it, I feel it. This is something that I gotta talk about when I feel like talking about it, when I'm feeling inspired to talk about it. And now is one of those times. Hold on, my camera's a little blurry. And this now is one of those times for me, so I'm just gonna do it. Around 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock, around when he turned one, we noticed that he didn't start picking back up on those things. So of course, I started mentioning it to his therapist. His therapist had those same, his therapist, his pediatrician. His pediatrician had those same concerns. Maybe it's the pandemic, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Um, Now, because I switched his pediatrician. Okay, so this is what that was. Okay, so he kept giving him his vaccinations, whatever, whatever. So by the time I came back that next month to his next appointment, and Amias was going to be almost too soon, he started thinking that maybe we should talk to. We need to get him evaluated, make sure it is not um, anything wrong with him. This is when autism was mentioned to me. Um, Speech delay was mentioned to me. And different things started being mentioned to me as to why Amias is not doing these things. So, of course, as a parent, at that time, it wasn't really about label. Of course, we had to label it, but it was just like, okay, well, we need to figure it out because I need to figure it out because I need to give him what he needs in order to, learn and develop and grow. And in order for me to communicate with my son, um, I want him. I want to know what he's feeling, and as a mother, either way, I still know, but I want him to be able to convey it to me. So I just wanted to hurry up and get in there so we can do what we need to do to make it better for him. Okay. So yeah. So that happened. Um, yes. So then that happened. So by the time Amaya's turned 2, okay. So they were saying for the evaluation with the autism is a process, right? There's 2 parts of it, and it could take a long time for it to get done. Like you have to schedule the first assessment, and then you have to schedule a second assessment. So I said, okay. They also wanted him to get his hearing checked out to make sure it wasn't like a hearing issue. Okay, so yes, so basically to make sure it wasn't a hearing issue or anything. So he has these tests lined up. I take him in for his hearing test. I'm not going to mention what pediatrician I had the first time because I just don't want to do that right now. If somebody asks me personally who's in the Philadelphia area who feel like they're going through the same thing, then I will definitely tell you because it's definitely important. We all need to stick together. But his first pediatrician, so we took him to his hearing test, and they basically was like, okay, well he fidgety, he moves around too much. We can't do the hearing test. So let's just put that in the pocket. So I'm like, okay, you don't have a way of testing like babies, younger kids. There's no way of testing that because when they were doing a hearing test where you put the sound in the ear and then you gotta basically like raise your hand or something to let them know that you're hearing that side. But Amias is not conversing or not following directions, so he wouldn't be able to do that. If you asked him to raise his hand when he heard a beep, Amias wasn't able to do that task. So okay, they basically scratched the hearing test. Um, Yeah, so they basically scratched their hearing test. I want to get this right, y'all, the process. Um, so boom, that happened. Then he had his first appointment finally came up. Oh, excuse me. Y'all, let me backtrack real quick. When the doctor told me about the assessments, he also gave me a number for, I think it was ChildLink, where Amaya could start therapy, speech therapy. So that was my main concern. Amaya started speech therapy. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I reached out to them, get them in. Mind you, the pandemic was just coming to an end, so basically everything was still online, virtual. So we started virtual appointments every week, which was difficult. Amaya's already don't really, he was everywhere. He really don't pay attention to, strangers and stuff like that. So it was kind of like difficult for him to try to even pay attention to um, the lady on the camera. So basically, they just want to have the camera on. They want Amaya to be doing him in the background, and so they can basically observe him, right? So she observed him. She said, the lady who observed him said, okay, she do see that he needs services. Um, she asked me if I ever heard of autism. Has his pediatrician ever mentioned it to me? And she says she sees some red flags for early signs of autism when Amaya would do with his hands or with his body or whatever it is that he is doing. So she's seeing signs. Okay, so we started therapies. Um, wasn't speech therapy. It was like an introduction to that. I don't know. And then it was like Project Impact, and then he started occupational therapy, which he had to meet a different person. Oh. Okay, so he basically had to meet a different person for occupational therapy, which was even more difficult because he just started paying attention to his first therapist, and I actually, I liked her. He just started paying attention to her on the tablet, so now he got to meet a whole nother person that he got to kind of get to know on the tablet. So once again, it was becoming difficult for Miles to pay attention, and I was kind of getting lost in what the point was. Let me be completely honest, y'all. Completely honest and completely transparent. I was actually confused as to what that lady was doing because, okay, with the first lady, we take out toys, we try to get him to engage me and Amaya. So she basically gives me instruction and we try to get Amaya to comply, which he would. It's me. So I learned how to, she was teaching me how to enter Amaya's world of play, which was really good because he usually don't play with me in certain situations, so I would have to like learn how he plays. Okay, so I forgot where I left off. Yeah. So I basically entered his world of play. Okay, that's how we got started. Now, this is where it went south for me. He started occupational therapy, and it was still be on virtual, right? But I wasn't really understanding her role. I felt like she really wasn't doing much. I feel like she was spending a lot of time asking me questions about Amaya's and then giving her insights, which I get it. But I wasn't here for that. I felt like occupational therapy was supposed to be geared towards helping Amaya's do whatever he needs to do. And I felt like since she noticed that Amaya's attention span and stuff was like that, and she wasn't going to be able to have his undivided, she just kind of was using the opportunity just to talk to me. And that's not a horrible thing because I can be educated, but at the same time, this is supposed to be geared toward getting Amaya where he needs to be. So if you feel like you cannot assist him, then let's move forward. I'm not a person that ever wants to waste time, and I do appreciate everything that they've done and opened my eyes to, but I just felt like he needed more. He wasn't grasping it virtually, and I didn't feel like she was doing much. So then when I asked the first lady who evaluated him, I had asked her where can he get speech therapy. He was already receiving occupational therapy, and I was already in the project something she had me in where she's basically teaching me how to teach Amaya. Um, so I'm like, why is he not in speech therapy? I see you recommended the occupational, but you didn't recommend the speech. And she basically was saying that she don't think he would benefit from speech therapy. So that's basically where she lost me. She don't think he would benefit from speech therapy because he doesn't really pay attention. So we'll kind of be like, in so many words, she was saying like a waste of time. It will be a waste of time to give him speech therapy. Um, and that wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for me. What she said wasn't working for me, and I just wasn't feeling it. And even though I didn't know all the ins and outs and all the information, I knew just as a parent that didn't sit well for me, and I couldn't really accept that. I couldn't accept that determination. So from right then and there, I knew I wanted to get me a second opinion. So that's what I did. After that, I basically did inform the company that I wanted to put a pause on his services. So that's what I did. Um, I let them know that I'll be putting a pause on his services, that I was trying to move, and that, um, yeah, I'll let them know when I move and I'll start it back up. That's basically what I told them, right? So we could stop those sessions, and that's what we did. I made him another appointment with another pediatrician. Same pediatrician I used to actually take my daughter to when she was younger. Went there, loved her, loved her immediately. She showed genuine concern for Amias. Um, I felt the difference, in the places. I felt the difference in care that he was receiving, and just from that first day, she just showed genuine care for Amias, and she gave him things, and she gave me a resource list. Like the other, not to be smart, but that other pediatrician, they never gave me any literature or any. She gave me like a full packet of resources. Um, and everything, breaking everything down to me. She asked me if he had his hearing test. She scheduled his hearing test. Then she was like, what's going on with his blood work? Has he ever had his blood work drawn? Which Amias never had his blood work. He's never had his blood work drawn. So basically that's what we had to do. She said, okay, well, before you leave here today, I mean, we was there for like 2 hours, and I didn't mind because we was doing everything that I needed to get done. So that's what we did. We took him downstairs to do his blood work, and yeah, so he got his blood work done, which was really difficult, but we got it done. Amias is strong as hell, y'all. Like, he is strong. So it was a fight, but we finally got his blood work done. So then I want to say maybe a day later. I had left out to the market, came back, and I had a notice in my mailbox, and it was from the public health department, which I've never received a letter from them before, so I never knew why they would be at my house. And so then I read this slip, and it's basically a slip saying that such and such was just at your home to check the property. Please reach out to the health department about your child's lead levels. So I'm like, what? So so I give it to his dad. His dad reads it, and I'm like, so they basically saying he has lead. I'm like, I haven't heard from his pediatrician yet. You know what I mean? I haven't heard from anybody, and the public health department just showed up, and I'm like, so now I'm worried. So now I'm like, okay. So then his dad starts trying to access the portal where you can look at information online to see his results, and I started calling and trying to get in touch with his pediatrician to see what's going on, because it said, oh, basically when I called her, she said, I called after I got off the phone with the pediatrician, left a message for her. He was able to see the lead levels, which we didn't understand what it meant. It basically was saying he had lead, but we didn't understand what it meant. So called the health department, and she basically broke everything down to me. And Amias did in fact suffer from lead poisoning, y'all. He was suffering from lead poisoning. We don't know how long he was suffering from lead poisoning. And he had very high levels. They said he had very high levels. He was in the double digits. And because of this, the public health department has to come out to your home when your child has ingested lead levels up to this high. Let me start making my way back, because I want y'all to know. Okay, so immediately I'm upset. What is, okay, lead. Of course we heard lead before. The only lead that I know of is in pencils or in, and stuff. So tell me what this means. What does this mean for me and for my son, And let me. And so she breaks everything down to me. She tell me what it is. She tell me where it comes from. Now, they say today lead mostly comes from paint, lead-based paint. Now, your landlord or whoever is supposed to have a check at your house to make sure there is no lead in your home. They also are not supposed to be using lead based paints anymore. You know what I mean? Mind you, something that I was not informed of. Now, when I did move in to my apartment, I did receive a lead certification that they came through, did the lead check, and everything was calm, cool, and collected. That's what they said. That's what he said. I was just moving in there with my newborn baby. When I start adding this timeline up, y'all, I automatically like get upset because I don't know how long, he was actually suffering from it. And if I think about it and I go through the timeline based off of what I saw, okay, so what I say, 9 months Amias was walking, right? He was trying to talk, he was trying to wave. Then he just automatically stopped. So my timeline is saying to me that once he started walking, he started being able to put things in his mouth. And they say this is why kids of Amias' age or younger get lead poisoning, because they like to put a lot of stuff in their mouth, and it's a lot of lead sometimes could be in the air and whatever. And of course, Amias definitely, he had a huge issue with putting stuff in his mouth because that's like a, I don't know, it was like a calming mechanism for him. So, y'all, here we are. Okay, so here we are, y'all. I'm gonna go back inside because I'm gonna have to get Amias. We're gonna have to continue this later, and this is not the end. Trust me. That's only the beginning of my story. That's only part 1. So yes, so where we are, he's already in the works of trying to be assessed. His appointment was coming up. Switched his pediatrician, did a blood test, found out Amias has been suffering with lead poisoning, and he had very high levels. And here the public health department is at my door. So yeah, y'all, part 1.